Hi, I'm Brett Blumenthal, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I discuss everything about watercolors and creativity. Today, I'm going to talk to you about watercolor paper, the different types, and what you should be looking for when you're making your purchase. If you want to learn about the watercolor papers that I personally recommend that you use, please download my watercolor supply guide to find out everything about papers, brushes, paints, and even more about the different supplies that you need when you're painting with watercolors. Throughout my watercolor career, I have found that paper is the most important supply you can purchase and where you should probably focus your money on. There are a lot of tools that you can get away with getting cheaper, but when it comes to your paper, you really do want the highest quality possible. So whenever you're looking for watercolor paper, there are two things you should pay attention to. One, is it 100% cotton? And two, whether or not it's thick enough. And I recommend that you go no lower than 300 GSM or 140-pound paper. When I first started painting with watercolors, I used a type of watercolor paper that was not 100% cotton. Papers that are not 100% cotton are made with wood pulp, cellulose fibers, and sometimes some cotton as well. These do not hold up when you're trying to add a lot of water or do wet on wet techniques. I have found that 100% cotton and thicker papers are especially vital when you're going to paint landscapes. The reason that I recommend a heavier weight paper of 300 GSM or above is because it will eliminate or at least minimize the possibility of buckling with your watercolor paper as you add water to the paper. So the higher the weight of the paper, the less likely you're going to see the buckling. Watercolor paper comes in three different textures. One is hot pressed, the second is cold pressed, and in the UK it's actually called knot, and the knot stands for not hot pressed. And then the third kind is rough. As you can see, hot pressed is extremely smooth and works really well for artwork that requires less water and a lot of detail. I love to use hot press when I'm doing anything with fine detail, especially with animals and fur or feathers. It is easier to get those details without the bumpy texture. So even if you're going to use a pen or pen and ink on your watercolors, which is often a wonderful touch to some of the things that you might create, those lines will be crisper and straighter. Cold press paper is the most versatile paper. It's used for pretty much everything that you could possibly want to create. It has a slight texture, which is called a tooth, and I use these specifically for landscapes and some of the abstracts that I've tried. Rough paper, as you might expect, has the roughest texture. It has what's called the most tooth. I personally do not like to use rough paper because the kinds of watercolors that I create tend to require a lot more detail, and so the rough paper makes it hard to get that nice detail that I like to get. Rough paper can also be a bit harsher on your brushes and wear them out faster. However, for those of you who might be interested in it, I definitely say go give it a try. You might love rough watercolor paper. For most people, cold press watercolor paper is going to be exactly what they want. If you are just starting out, it's especially a great place to start. If you start to get into more detailed and finer watercolors, go and try the hot pressed. If you really love texture to your watercolors and use a lot of water, go for the rough. I hope that this explanation has helped you to understand the different kinds of watercolor paper and which might work best for you. If you'd like to learn more about watercolor supplies, please download my watercolor supply guide, which provides you all the information you need to start painting with watercolors. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below the watercolor papers that you like to use most.